All right. Hello, and welcome to a special episode of Marketing Ping Pong. My name is Allie.
And my name is Duncan.
And in this episode, we are going to be freestyling it. We decided we just would like to have, Duncan and I talk all the time, and we talk about a lot of different subjects, and we don't record it. So this is an opportunity for us to discuss some things we love about marketing, maybe some things we hate about marketing, maybe some controversy, maybe some things that really annoy us that we see other marketing people do. I don't know. It's all up in the air. Don't know what we're going to talk about because we have picked subjects for each other, which means we're coming into this episode completely blind, not knowing what we're going to talk about.
Completely blind. I love it. That's like the essence of freestyle, right? It's like neither of us have any idea what topic we're going to pick. We don't know what we're going to talk about. And I do, you said that we talk a lot off camera, and it's oftentimes some of the best stuff, right? Like we'll do an episode. Obviously, the episodes are phenomenal because we're great, right? But then we stop and we wait to start another one, and we'll have a whole 45-minute long conversation before we start the next one about marketing, branding, whatever. And it's just great. Like we talked for almost an hour before we hit record today.
Yes.
So I'm excited. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
We're primed up. We're primed up. We're ready to go. I'm excited about this too because there are going to be, you're going to pick a subject for me. I'm going to pick a subject for you. We don't really quite know where this conversation is going to go. And I've even noticed that with our regular episodes, like sometimes near the end, we go off on some tangents in some different directions. And sometimes that's like the best, juiciest stuff. So we're just going to do a whole episode of the best, juiciest stuff. So are you ready to go, Duncan?
I have never been more ready for anything in my entire life, Allie Thompson.
I believe you. So, do you want to start or do you want me to start? Do you want to ask me mine?
I can start. Yeah. So I'll ask. I'll give the topic, and I'll give a little bit of context too, just so you're not. I'll give you a few minutes to think about it while I ramble.
Okay.
So I want to talk about the problem with lead generation. All right. So
Okay.
let me clarify a little bit here. So I own an agency. I'm a reformed agency owner where we've talked before on this podcast about how a lot of agencies are pretty predatory. They learn how to sell their marketing services before they even learn how to fulfill the service, and they're out there doing things that don't really work for people and charging tons of money. And we both agree that that's really bad, right? Anybody with a conscience, anybody with any kind of moral guidelines thinks that that's probably not great. And the reason that I picked lead generation to talk about like the problems with it as a service is because I still have clients that come to me and ask for, or potential clients that come to me and ask for lead generation. And I have to have the same conversation with all of them that it's not good enough by itself. Like I can generate all the leads in the world for you, but it's not going to matter if we don't have these other things in place. Or we can jump straight to lead generation and we're going to try and we're going to spend a ton of money, but we're not going to generate enough leads to get you the results that you need because we didn't do these 5 other things before we got there, right? So there is a problem, in my opinion, with traditional lead generation agencies. There are agencies that's all they do. They say we are a specialist agency. We only generate leads. We don't do any of the follow-up. We don't do any of the brand awareness stuff, trust building that you need beforehand. And that there's problems with that I want to hear your opinions on it and hear what the problems are from your perspective with lead generation.
Yeah, so I totally hear you on that, and we've talked about that several times. So yeah, the problem with lead generation, I hear you on that. I think that one of the mistakes and one of the pitfalls that a lot of business owners fall into is they hear a buzzword, right? And they may even understand what that buzzword is, lead gen, right? I need more leads, I need more leads, I need more leads. And then they don't really understand what to do with the leads when they get them. And they also don't know how to attract the right kinds of leads to them in the first place. And for me, the worst sin is they don't have a good follow-up system on the leads that didn't convert right away. They really don't know what to do with these people. It's like the people that say like, oh, I have an email list of 1,000 people. And you say, okay, are you emailing them? No, I don't want to email them because I don't want them to unsubscribe.
Yep.
It's like, well, then what was the purpose of building that
Yeah,
list in the
what's
first
the list
place?
for? Yeah.
Yes.
Why is it there? What are you doing with it? Why aren't you tapping into this resource that you've generated? You've spent this money to get these emails. but now you're not using it. The
Yeah.
other thing I see a lot of is, they have the standard marketing agency follow-up strategies in place that everyone is doing, and it's the concept that we've talked about before of like throwing rocks in the pond and scaring away all the fish. It's like random, industry related stuff that doesn't really apply to the people that they're trying to sell to. So their emails just start getting ignored. Their open
Mm-hmm.
rates just drop into the toilet, and like everything that they work to build kind of goes out the window because they've just been sending them basically garbage or things that they don't really need or
Yeah.
care about. So
Like sending them emails. I've seen people send things like the state, not this exactly, but something like the state of the HVAC industry.
yeah,
Like your customers care not. They don't care. You care. And that's where I always go back to, like, you've got to differentiate what you care about and what your customer cares about.
yeah.
So
What's in
you
it for
may
them?
be very
Yeah,
passionate about the state of the HVAC industry and where it's going, and you are going to trade shows, etc. But guess who's not going to your trade shows? Customers aren't going to the trade shows because they don't care. Like they
yeah,
care not. They just do not care at all. So yeah, getting very clear about who it is we want as a lead. Because if we're not qualifying the lead, then we're spending all this money to bring leads in that are not qualified, making sure that the offer that we are giving them in order to capture that lead, whether it's a free report or a free estimate or whatever that offer is something that takes them down the road of making a purchase, right? So I can build a lot of leads giving away a free TV, but are those people that I'm giving the free TV away from business owners who want to learn how to market their business? So yeah, I can get a lot of leads, but if I'm not very clear on who they are and then match the giveaway with that, or whatever it is, the lead magnet or the free estimate, then those leads are worthless. They're going to spend a lot of time and effort on them without seeing the results that you want. And then you get them and then you never call them because you don't know how to do a follow-up system.
yeah.
So I think that's where like people are just throwing money right down the toilet when they're hiring these. Did you say you were a reformed agency owner?
Yes,
I
yeah,
love that. I love that. I think we need to use that like in moving forward when we're talking about this kind of stuff, that you're a reformed agency owner.
yeah. I need a
Um,
shirt. I need a shirt for that one for sure.
yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like I need to be very clear here. So I still have clients that I am running ads for to generate
Mhm.
leads, and the difference between then what I was doing before and what I'm doing now is I have an actual understanding of marketing. It's like I know what needs to be done to make sure that the leads that we collect are the right kind of people, showing intent, like purchasing intent,
Mhm.
or at least qualifying themselves in some way that I know they're the right kind of client. And then there's follow up strategies on the back end. Whether I fulfill those or the client fulfills those, I make sure that those are there, at least a basic understanding before we start the ads. Because I know that if they're not going to follow up with these people, if I'm not going to follow up with these people, all those leads are completely worthless. So that's like huge. So it seems like it boils down to really what a lot of the lead gen specific agencies miss out on is quality. Sometimes they miss out on quantity. They go for too many leads that are low quality or not enough because they go for too much, like too high intent, and then follow up. That seems like the big three big problems that I see with lead gen agencies for sure. So
Yeah. And for business owners, it's partial. It's on the agency because they should know better,
yeah,
but it's also on the business owner because they need to know better too. Both
hmm
parties really should know better. And that's what the frustrating thing is the business owner doesn't necessarily know better. And then the agency doesn't know better either. So it's really the blind leading the blind through this
yeah,
process. The agency owner says, hey, I can get you lots of leads. And the business owner is like, I keep hearing that that's the thing I need is leads. So let's go ahead and do that. And then neither one of them even understands why they're doing what they're doing. And they're keeping score saying, wow, look at all these leads. But ultimately, you keep score with sales,
yeah,
right? So
hmm
how many more sales are you making? And people can get so hyper focused on that leads. And you and I have talked about this before, where a friend of mine actually has a fantastic postcard follow up system, and he I invited him to come talk to, I don't know, Home Builders Association, I think it was, from the small town that I'm from. And he's like, awesome, because, all of them have all of these leads that they're not converting. I'm going to show them how to convert and how to convert unconverted leads. So all the gold that's sitting in their list right there. And he tells them everything. He shows them how they're leaving money on the table. And this is how you convert these leads. And at the end, the biggest response he got from the audience of roofers and plumbers and all of that was like, yeah, are you going to show us how to get new leads? So that fundamental misunderstanding of what you should be doing with the lead when it comes in. I guess for some people, it's obvious. You call them back, right? They call, you call them back, or they give a phone number, or they ask for an estimate, their phone number's in there, or an email, and maybe they have an automated system that follows up email. But then if they don't buy within that, first week, different people have different timetable on that. They just kind of put them in a junk pile and say, well, I'll just send them the industry standard, the changes of the industry of the HVAC
Yep.
world. And they don't realize that they're leaving all that money on you're paying for leads, and then you're letting this valuable asset just sit there and collect dust when you could be turning that into actual money.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's other ways to utilize those leads as well. Like you can get into creating custom audiences on Facebook to advertise to. There's a lot of really interesting ways that you can use them, and I think that again, when you're a specialist agency that does one thing, you don't really they won't even offer that kind of stuff to clients because it's outside of their realm of what they do, to the detriment of the client, right? It's like if they're not following up with these leads, or for whatever reason the majority of them didn't reply or whatever, you can still utilize those in a different way to generate some revenue from them. So yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we talked before. I mean, that's what I love about doing this episode, because all the things that we don't really get to dive into in the other episodes. And one of the guys that I learned from, and I wish I got to go back and try to find the true source. It was basically, there's a company out there that generates leads it's like an Angie's List, but bigger, like
Yep.
big for all different kinds of companies. And they're a lead generation company. And they did the research, and they found that of all the people who call about a particular product or service, let's say 100 people call for HVAC. I need a new air conditioner or something. A lot of times HVAC is emergency, but you know what I'm saying. So sometimes they need a new air conditioner, whatever. So if you have 100 people call, 50 out of 100 will purchase within 18 months. Okay. So 100 people call any amount of companies. Let's say 100 people call you, but any amount of companies. So 100 people call you. 50 of them will buy in 18 months. They'll buy from somebody. It won't necessarily be you. So if you got the call, that doesn't mean 50% of the people who've called you are going to buy from you. They're going to buy from somebody. And of that 50%, 10% of that 50% will buy in the first, I think it was 90 days. I've got to go back and watch the video. And I've seen this stat many, many different places.
Yeah, so that's what I've heard too. Yeah, it's
10%
in the first 90 days. Yeah.
So 10% of the 50 that are left, 5 of them will buy within 90 days. The other 45 will be after 90 days. And if all you're doing is grabbing a lead and talking to them for a week, and then deciding they're not going to buy simply because they didn't convert yet, and then throwing them in the dusty, boring email pile, they're going to choose, in 20 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days. They're going to choose. They have all the way up to 18 months to make a decision. They're likely to make a decision within that 18 months. And you've stopped communicating with them, or your communication is so boring that they're ignoring you. So the follow-up to those leads is where the vast majority. So if we look at those 50 people that will buy, 5 of them will buy within 90 days. If you stop there, 45 more will buy. The bigger number is in the longer period of time.
Yep.
And that's where What's that?
The bucks are on the back end. So
Yeah,
that's, I
yeah.
hear that over and over again. It's
Yeah,
like
the biggest amount of money is on the back end, and
yep.
that's what everybody is missing when they
Mm,
go to these lead generation companies. They're looking for who's ready to buy right now. And you talked about like that buyer intent, that they get too hyper fixated on the person that is has strong buyer intent right now, that needs the service right now. But that's such a small part of the 100 people. It's only 5%
yeah, and
or less.
oftentimes, yeah, and oftentimes those people are, depending on the industry that you're in, they can be harder to work with because they're on a time crunch or they
Mhm.
waited until the last second that they need something, especially if it's like a big purchase and they're in market right now when they see your ads and they submit their lead. It's like they're expecting you to reply right away. And the pressure's on in a situation like that. If you don't have a sales team or at least somebody dedicated to doing it, you might miss out on that. And I've seen that in my own business, even since I become a reformed agency owner, right? Like I'll randomly call leads that have been generated by my company for my clients to do quality control. I always call the people that say I'm ready to buy right now. And that's the thing that I add into my landing pages where I'm collecting the lead is like, when are you ready to purchase? Is it now? Is it 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6, 6 to 12? Most of the time, people will give you that information. It's going to make the lead cost more, but you get that data. You get the to me, that's gold, right? It's like we can tailor an email strategy to ramp them up to the point that they're ready to buy and they have all the information they need dripped out to them on a monthly or weekly basis in that 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. And I've had, I followed up with leads that said, I'm ready to buy today, like right now. And they write in the little comment box, like, yes, I'd like to speak with somebody immediately. And I've called them a week later saying, hey, this is Duncan from blah, blah, blah company, just calling to see if our team followed up with you to make sure that our sales process is going well. And you'll have people say, like, yeah, I didn't get any response back for like a day or two and I found somebody else. That is all it takes. It's like you leave them alone for a day, they're in the market right now, they're going to find somebody else. And that's kind of a hard thing for a lot of people to understand, right? It's like that if your sales team isn't following up with them at least within the first day, that lead, if they're in the market, has already found someone else.
Yeah, and if when you have such high buyer intent at that moment, I feel like that's like the piranhas, right?
Yep.
Everybody's out, everybody's trying to get them. Everybody, that is the ideal thing. But I love the person who says, "No, I'm ready to buy in a month or 3 months," because now you get to nurture the relationship with them
Yep.
so that when they are ready to buy, you're not fighting everybody else. It's
Correct.
just
Yep.
it's just a given that they're going to do business with you at that point.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
so rather than fighting for those, because that's what everybody's doing, right? Like everybody's trying to jump. I think of even when we look at a Facebook group and somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a plumber, and
Mm.
everybody responds. I don't wait a week to choose a plumber from that. If I asked for a plumber, I'm looking the first 15, 20 minutes. And
Yep.
like, okay, I'm going to check them out, check them out, check them out. I've already got people messaging me. That's the piranhas, right? The piranhas are coming after me. But if you can get to that person, you know, a couple of weeks before they need a plumber, right? Or if if you're able to build that relationship with them long term, which is why I like social media. And social media is another way of nurturing leads so that when they actually do need that service that you provide or the product that you provide, you're hands down the natural option.
Mm.
You're just the default, right? They don't have to ask somebody else. They don't have to Google it. They don't have to ask somebody else. They don't have to do any of that extra work where the piranha feeding frenzy is. You're just the logical
The
conclusion,
logical choice, yeah.
the
And
logical
I think
choice.
that
Yes.
one of the things that you said there that's really important for people to understand is that people that like and follow your Facebook page are leads too, as long as you've been attracting the right kind of people to your page
Exactly.
and doing your regular posts, that as long as you're doing them correctly, the right kind of content, that is nurturing leads. That's when we talk about, we've talked about before, hard leads versus soft leads. I think about it in our fishing analogy, like you your hard lead is like you get an email, phone number, address, whatever, name. That's like a hard lead. It's a solid thing that you can hold on to. And in the fishing analogy, that's like you got one on the hook, right? They're on there. All you got to do is reel them in, get them in nice and slow. So to me, the social media likes, followers, feels like more you've been chumming the water and there's a bunch of
Right.
fish under your boat, right? Like they're there, they're hanging out. And as long as you keep throwing the right kind of food in there, they're going to stick around the boat. They're there when you put something out for sale or when you put out your lead
When you
magnet,
drop
put out
that
your
hook, they're
email.
ready to bite it. Yeah.
Correct. That's exactly right. So I think that's another fun one we can add to our fishing
Yes, we
analogy.
can. Chumming the waters. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, and that's it's you're right. And you're always going to have waste. And I think
Yep.
everybody needs to understand that. There's always going to be followers on your page that are not going to buy from you. There's always going to be people on your email list that are not going to buy from you.
Yep.
Now, when you get to give me your phone number, when are you ready to buy? I'm ready to buy now. There It's not so much waste, but it's just you're going to have a certain percentage of them that aren't going to convert. They don't like your
Hmm.
price. They got somebody else called them first, etc. But on social media and email, you usually have some level of waste. So when we talk about, I like to call them buyer followers, followers that have a buyer intent. I've had clients that say, well, I know that there are people on my page that are never going to buy from me. How do I get rid of them? And I'm like, don't worry about that. Just keep
Yeah.
focusing on attracting the right kind of people, because sometimes those ones that will never buy will still engage and they'll still interact and they can still help you with the algorithm.
Yep.
But as long as you're creating content that's attracting the right people and you are keeping it on the subject, all your content on the subject of your business and nurturing them and then letting them know when you have offers, you're going to get the right people are going to convert. So,
Yep. Yep.
but that doesn't mean go out and intentionally put the wrong audience there just to get like ego numbers and all of that. And that's where I see this a lot when we're talking about leads. When I've talked with my clients about boosted posts and they're doing like a giveaway and they do a boosted post, and I'll say, okay, what are your results? What are your numbers? And they're like, oh, I got this much engagement and this much likes on
Mhm.
my post and this many views.
Yep.
And I said, when have I ever told you that that's the metric we're looking for? In fact, in my training, I specifically say those numbers do not matter. What we're
Yep.
looking for is how many emails did you get and how much did it cost you per email
Yep.
to collect that email address. And then they're like, oh, well, I didn't look at those numbers. So it's easy to get lost in the wrong information
Yeah.
and especially when you have an agency. And I look at this with social media. Look at how much more viewers we got, that sort of thing. And all of that is great, but what is the intent of what we're doing? If I'm running if I'm running ads, or if we're running, lead gen ads, and we're spending a lot of money, and somebody says, yeah, but you're getting more likes on your posts. I'm like, but I'm not getting any leads.
Yeah.
It's easy for people to get fooled into thinking that it's not that those numbers don't count at all in the grand scheme of things, but that's not the objective that we had. So being
Yep.
really clear on what is the objective. We're trying to capture, specifically with lead gen, we're trying to capture the name and the address of somebody who is interested in this product or service in some way,
Yep.
so that we can then convert them into a buyer. And
Yep.
if you're unclear about what the objective is, what you're ultimately trying to turn them into a customer or client, then it's easy to get distracted, and it's easy for agency owners to even distract you and say, yeah, well, look at all this activity that's happening. We're getting your name out
Yep.
there,
Yep.
right?
Getting your name out there and like look how much the page has grown. I see a lot of agencies do that. It's like look how many likes the page has. Like we're growing your page with likes from a local audience, and then you look at the metrics of the page and it's like a ton of people from Vietnam, or you're like there's so much
That's a
of that
whole
happens.
nother subject. That's a
Yeah.
whole nother subject that I
Yeah, we're getting on a
Allie
tangent
has
here.
feelings.
Yeah. We're getting on a whole other thing, but like you're right. You have to know what success means. I think that's a really important thing. Like lead generation is amazing. We're talking about why lead gen is bad. Lead generation is amazing if those leads actually turn into sales, turn into customers. Like you need to
Mhm.
know really what numbers dictate success. And we talked a little bit before this podcast started about having like a scorecard with the three numbers, the four numbers that matter, that show actually how healthy your business is, like a report card that you can just have somebody make, right? If you have somebody that works for you, has access to the numbers, you can just pull it up and have them pull it up and fill it out. You can pull up those numbers and fill it out. Really understanding what those numbers are and why they indicate a healthy business is important. And we could do a whole podcast just on KPIs for sure.
Sure, sure. And we are in Marketing Power Hour, in our upcoming Marketing Power Hour call. We have a guest coming on talking about KPIs. It's very much a numbers person, and I'm excited to have him on. But
Shameless
no,
plug.
the KPIs are really important because I like to talk a lot about bottlenecks, right? And if there's somebody that says, hey, I have this agency running ads for me, or I'm running my own ads, but it's just not working, we don't yet know what's not working. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not working is a much bigger question than I think that they think they're asking. Like, they're
Yep.
just saying, I'm having these leads generated and it's not working. But they think that the ads aren't working. And it's possible the ads aren't working, but it could be the ads are great, but it's to the wrong audience. It could be that the ads are working great, but it's the wrong kind of offer for the audience you need, that has the buyer intent.
Yep.
It could be that the ads suck, that the ads just aren't getting delivered, or something is wrong with the ad. It could be the image of the ad, it could be the text of the ad. So there could be an ad problem. Or it could be all of those things are working, but then nobody's following up on the lead. Or it could be the way you're talking to them on the phone once you get them as a lead. I mean, we haven't even touched that just calling them isn't always going to work. You need to have a good offer.
Yep.
You need to be answering questions, asking them questions. And I'm not a sales guru, so I don't want to get too much into that. But what you say on the phone matters.
It matters. Yeah.
And then the follow up from there, maybe you got off the phone and they weren't quite ready, and then there's no follow up. So maybe that's the thing, that maybe the leads that you're attracting right now need a longer lead time before they're ready. That
Yep.
could just be the lead that you're attracting now. So you really don't know there's so many elements there. And I hate to always throw it on the feet of the agency to be like, they're the ones that are making the mistake, when in actuality, neither one of them know, or definitely the business owner doesn't understand that these are all different bottleneck opportunities you have in your business, and you need to identify which one of those things is actually causing the problem.
Yep.
And I think that an agency worth its salt should present you with that and say,
Yeah.
all right, what along this line, where are we failing?
Yep.
At what point is there a failure in the system? But not a lot of agencies are willing to do that. They just look at it and say, hey, I'm sending you 30 leads a month, 50 leads a month. What you do with them, we can't be responsible for that.
Yeah, and I think that the in defense of myself as an agency, because I'm feeling a little bit convicted now. So like, I have clients, and this is I still think it's my fault, right? So like, I'm not placing blame on anybody else, on clients. I'll just explain a situation. So generating leads for a client, they have a team of salespeople, commission only. That is their entire job, is to go chase down leads, sell stuff to them. Like, that's their job. We had this conversation before about like, how's your follow-up process? What are you going to do with these leads when we send them to you? Like, nope, we got it. We don't need to pay for that extra layer of service of follow-up, because that is these people's whole job. And I said, okay, but we can automate it. We can write all the emails. We can do everything for you to make sure that they're continuing to get kept in touch with, so that your salespeople aren't having to remember. And that's the right way to do it, right? That's an expense that frees them up to focus on building relationships with those people once they book a call, or once they book a demo, or whatever it is. And they didn't want it, right? Like, that's the job of the salespeople. And we're running into that issue that we're talking about. It's like, we're sending them leads. I'm calling to check on the quality of the follow-up, and people are saying that they're not getting in touch with us for a day or for 2 days. So it's kind of like, there are times when the agency can be doing everything that they've been hired to do. I don't want this to be like an attack on the entire agency industry, the entire marketing industry, even though there are a lot of bad actors out there. There are situations where clients can drop the ball based on what you talked about before you even got into this situation. So that does happen. And I think that then like you said, the onus is on me. Like, it's the agency's job to come in and say, hey, here's why this isn't working. XYZ is the reason why it's not working. Here's what we need to change to make it happen. And that's kind of where I'm at with this client, where I've gotten to with other clients, where it's like, okay, now I'm going to just do this thing for you, and I'm going to run it for a week, and I'm going to show you how things could be if we changed it and made it actually work the way it's supposed to work, right? I think that's my responsibility, right? I don't want to provide, as a business owner, I don't want to provide a subpar service to somebody that doesn't provide results. I went through that, right? I'm on the other side, and I don't want to be that agency anymore. So, because I'm dedicated to that mission and actually providing results, I'm open to even doing it for free to show them that the results that they can get, to convince them that they need that higher tier of service. So there's that kind of, the scales can shift both ways. I'm a proponent of, like, nothing's black and white, really. There are some really clear examples of fraudulent agencies, so don't get me wrong, there are really bad ones out there, but most things are in that gray area, and there's explanation on both sides for why things are happening the way that they are. So.
And I think that's why it's so important to hire an agency that really does understand the marketing. And this is where I feel like this is where I get antagonistic about agencies and social media managers and SEO people, is because there's an entire industry built around teaching people how to be an agency owner, how to be a social media manager. I just saw today, I'm teaching people how to be a social media manager from home. PM me if you want to take my free webinar.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys are like, no experience needed. And so while they're teaching these agency owners how to technically run ads, they're not equipping them with the full marketing know-how. These are not educated necessarily. The people that go into agencies are not necessarily educated on all these parts that we talked about, like making sure that it's the right market, talking about buyer intent, the full follow-up that comes after it, and being able to help a business troubleshoot where is the problem, finding those bottlenecks, right? If the agency that you hire can't do that, then you're in trouble. Either the agency has to do it or you have to do it, which is why I believe in education. This is why I try to educate and help business owners understand it themselves, because otherwise you're at the mercy and you don't know the expertise level. If you don't know what good marketing is or isn't, you can't identify it in other people.
Yep.
You can't identify it in the ads that they're running. You can't say that's good marketing if you don't know what good marketing is.
Yep.
So it is a crapshoot of whether or not you've hired somebody who, like you, actually care and are trying to come up with the right answers, or if you're ending up with somebody who's just like, yeah, I learned how to sell this to you and I learned how to technically run the ads, but I'm not, I mean, we both know marketing people who are not savvy about
Yep.
marketing, right? But
Yep.
they would consider themselves marketing people, marketing experts. And sometimes we'll talk to them and they'll be shocked and amazed. And it's like, as a marketer, these are things you should know in order to help your clients.
Yep.
That's the service you're supposed to be providing. So I think it's really, 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 really important for people to understand that just because somebody says they know marketing, or just because somebody says I can get you leads, doesn't necessarily mean they're the best option for you. And also, you need to be educated on why you want leads, how you're going to follow up, who you want, what you're going to attract them with, how to follow up with those leads, both in the short term and in the long term, to get those conversions. If you don't understand that, and if your agency doesn't provide that, then you're just flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah. And I think another important point too is that a lot of small businesses aren't in the position to they're just not ready. They're not ready, maybe monetarily, to pay the amount that it actually costs to build a system like this and run a system like this. Or maybe they're not ready in terms of their team. They don't have enough people to actually handle the volume of sales that something like this could generate, or the amount of leads that something like this could generate. And that's why I'm excited about our business, because that's for the people that aren't quite ready for that, that's where that education piece comes in. It's important for everybody to understand it, right? Like, we're talking to every small business owner should understand these things that we're talking about, but I'm excited to have something to offer people that actually want to help themselves, and they want to learn how to do it themselves, and they really want to understand their marketing and sales, for businesses that might not necessarily be able to afford it yet. So excited for that.
Yes, same. Because that's where I go back to, is if you don't know the difference, even if you're going to hire an agency, you should be doing something like Marketing Power Hour.
Yep.
Because if you don't understand what good marketing looks like, if you don't understand your own offers, if you don't understand your own customer, if you go to that marketing agency and say, well, everybody from this area is my ideal customer, and everybody, we're just going to make this sort of offer, and that offer is not a good offer if it's not phrased well, if it's confusing. You just, in the marketing ping pong group, posted about that, buying the gift cards for music lessons, and how you could make something like that better.
Mm.
And if there's nobody there to guide you and tell you that offer doesn't make sense, a lot of them don't even have an offer. A lot of it is just like, hey, I'm a caterer, hire me. Hey, we
Yep.
do HVAC, hire me, right? And then you go out for a lead generation company, and they may be like, oh, click here to book an appointment, but that's still not an offer.
Still not
So
an
if
offer.
you
Yep.
don't understand that those elements need to be there, it's really easy to be taken advantage of, even if it's not the intent of the agency to take advantage of you.
They might not even know
Sometimes,
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
they don't know better. They
They
don't
don't
know
know
better.
better, and they might be in the same position that you're at in your business, right?
Yep.
So, like, they might be at the point that they have to say yes to every client in order to make enough money to not go out of business, whether they're a good fit or not, right? You get a lot of agencies that are trying to get off the ground. They're trying to get their first 5 clients, 10 clients, whatever it is, and they'll try and get them at any means, by any means necessary, even if they're not going to be able to actually produce the results that they want.
Right.
And that's you know the agencies can make any excuse that they want, right? But a lot of them will even go into that conversation knowing that it's kind of doomed from the start. And I've been there, right? So, like, I'll tell myself again, I don't care. So I had a client that we were going to run some lead generation ads for them, and we were going to make some content for them as well. And I laid everything out. Here's what the kind of content that we need to make. Here's what you need to say to generate these leads effectively. And they didn't want to say it like that. They wanted to remove the offer and say it the way that they thought it would work based on their understanding of marketing. And I said, yes. I said, okay. But I told them it's not going to work. This isn't going to work the way that you think it's going to work. But I still made the video, and I still took their money. I should not have done that. I'm 100% honest. I should have been like, this is not a good fit. I don't want to provide a service to you that I don't think is going to generate the results that you want for your business. And I should have walked away from it, right? Now that I'm a little bit more experienced in business, I know that. Like, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. So, again, my point in defense of agencies, some people just don't even, I wasn't being malicious. I wasn't taking any client that I could get to take their money. I just didn't make the right choice in that scenario. Even though I made them aware of the fact that it probably wasn't going to work, I still should have drawn a line in the sand and been like, no, you're not the right client for us because of this. So, yeah.
No, I totally agree. And I've had clients like that before as well. And again, you mentioned about the agencies going out trying to get their first 5 clients. And there's
Mm-hmm.
this level of desperation and the willingness to say yes to anything and
Yep.
everything.
Yep.
And I've done that. I've said yes to things that I'm like, they're not going to get the value that, so I will tell them. And there are times where I'm like, fine, I'll still say yes, because they're relentless. And they're like,
Yep.
no, I swear I'm going to do this. And I know for a fact, when I do my jumpstart packages where I write social media posts for other people, I would say less than 50% of them actually use the content. And I
Yep.
can pretty much tell when I'm talking to people which ones are going to use it and which ones aren't. Um, and and the ones that don't, I tell them, like, I don't know if this is the right thing for you right now. No, 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 I need this. I think this is what I really need because I don't know what to say. And I do it. And, I get paid, but they're not getting the result. And so that's the other reason why a business owner needs to be educated
Yep.
so that you're not making an emotional decision on what you hear. Oh, I should be on social media. I should be running ads on Facebook for lead gen. And you're hearing all of that stuff. And then you get somebody who understands that that might not be a good fit for you,
Mm.
and you can't even hear it because you've already made up your mind. You've got to
Yep.
be able to listen to the experts. And that's why I like what we're doing now, because if we take out the doing it for you aspect of it, we have no reason to tell you yes you should or no you shouldn't.
Yep.
Like, post to Facebook or not, but if you want to post to Facebook, I'll show you how to do it correctly. And same with run ads or not. But if it is the right thing for you, let's talk about who this is right for. Is this right for you? And then this is how to do it. This is how
Yeah.
you should be doing it if you're going to be running ads. We were talking earlier about, like, context, right? Everything has context. The more context, the better. And a lot of these agency owners, again, not necessarily trying to be malicious, they're learning, right? They're going out and they're learning. And a lot of them do know it's doomed from the beginning, which is why I think so many of them use a 3-month contract.
Yep.
And I get, tying somebody in for 3 months so that you're not doing all this work and then they're jumping.
Yep.
But I also understand that tying them in for 3 months and it doesn't work still gets you money for 3 months, and you have time to go out and find somebody to replace them. And that's what a lot of these businesses end up being.
Yeah,
They're
yeah, and
just
that's why
mills.
from the beginning for me, I understood that I was, all the mistakes that I made. Like, I understood that I was going through that learning phase, and I've never done contracts for any results based stuff, which has hurt me as a business. But it's the right thing to do unless you actually know, in my opinion, that you can provide the results that people are looking for. And I've even seen people do performance based models with agencies, like growth partner models. We'll run your ads for the first month and we don't get paid until you get paid. And like, those are kind of cool, but I still think that it's, as a business owner, even with those agencies, you can still get taken advantage of. It's like I've even seen them report results for things that we've talked about aren't really the right thing to measure success by. And that's how they get paid. They say per, I don't know, per every 100 page likes we get you or whatever, per new people that we bring to your list, per new email, we're going to get paid a certain amount. There's a lot of different ways they can do that. And then how do you know as a business owner that those are quality emails? How do you know as a business owner that those are quality leads if you don't have the knowledge that we're talking about you needing to have? So,
Totally agree.
yep. I think we crushed that one. You
I
want
think
to
we did too.
you want to toss your topic at me and see if I can handle it?
Yeah. So, I picked off of your list.
Hey, I picked off my
Um,
list too.
yeah, you did. So I'm going to pick off my list then.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
Um, I want to talk about, where was it?
Good question.
Um, controversy.
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 Okay.
Controversy. This is something I was thinking about several weeks ago. And, I was listening to somebody, and so I come from direct marketing, right? I come from a world that says always a call to action, right? Call to action, call to action. There should always be a call to action. And I think the reason why so many direct response marketers have a hard time with organic social media is because the direct call to action cannot always be used on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you listen to people like Dan Kennedy, even like the Ryan Dices and what's his face with Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson, Frank Kern, all of these guys, all are direct response marketers. And they'll tell you there should always be a call to action on every piece of marketing that you do. And that's how you track it. And that's how you turn a lead into a sale, right? So you have an email list, you want them to take a specific action. And I'm calling bullshit on that. I do not think that everything I'm telling Dan Kennedy right now, that's all
Whoa,
bullshit.
whoa. Settle down,
No,
Allie Thompson.
it's not all bullshit. So when it comes to like print ads, absolutely, I totally get call to action, you know, and especially anytime you're doing paid media. I understand a direct call to action. But even in that, I mean, you run ads for businesses where it's just video relationship building ads.
Yep.
And when I talk about organic social media, not everything has a call to action. Even if that call to action, people are like, well, you can ask them to comment below. But you can overdo that and you can ask too much, and people
Yeah.
can just simply not care. If you are always doing a call to action, it's wearing, and it also flashes like business. I'm trying to get you to do something. I'm trying to get you to give me money. And I think the power of social media is the lack of a direct call to action for most of the time. I'm not saying all of the time, but most of the time there should be no call to action. um, Agree or disagree, Duncan? Have I just broke marketing as we know it? Have I broken the rules? Am I going to get kicked out of the direct marketers
You are.
cabal?
You're gonna get angry letters from all those
I
people.
am.
No, I'm going to agree and disagree.
Perfect.
I think that um, I think that the thing that you're talking about is a more difficult intellectual challenge, and it is a better way to do it. It's a better way to do organic social media. And the reason that I think a lot of those traditional guys avoid it is because it takes a little bit more nuanced thinking, right? Like it's obviously it's a skill to write really compelling copy and say like if you want to grab this life-changing resource, click learn more. Like that's a skill in and of itself, learning how to craft an offer, understanding your audience. But harder than that, in my opinion, is bringing those people into your world and making them aware of you without having a call to action and bringing them back for more just based on being the person that you are, providing the information that you're offering. I think that that's a harder intellectual challenge. Being truly engaging, truly educational, truly entertaining is harder than putting something in, like dangling a carrot in front of somebody and saying like, here's what you need to do to get the carrot. So that's where I agree. I do think that is a better long-term strategy. I think that it is going to provide probably more. It's going to build more trust, more know, like, and trust, like we talk about all the time. And I think it's going to build deeper relationships with people, which in turn will increase customer lifetime value because they're going to want to stick with you a lot longer. It's going to be a lot easier to sell. In fact, I think that there isn't going to be a sale, like you mentioned, right? They're going to come to you saying, how do I buy this thing? You're leaning out, they're leaning in. I think the opposite happens with a lot of those like purely direct response guys. It's like, here's the sale, here's the thing. Now we're going to sell in email, sell, get them on the phone, sell there. It becomes a forward leaning sales kind of convincing strategy as opposed to a leaning back and letting them come to you because they want the thing that you have so bad. So really it's just it's a difference of strategy to me. I think that being really good at direct response and having the money to put behind it, you can get results immediately, and you can drive and scale a business practically overnight. I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but like you could, if you have a really well built funnel, really well built, really well executed creative assets, videos, email sequences after the fact, sales team waiting and ready, and you just press play on those ads and everything is perfect, and everything has a call to action, you really can grow a business in like overnight, in a few days. Those customers are not going to love you and want to be in the cult of whatever your business is, like the people are that you're doing that less or no call to action strategy. So I think that it's more not one way is right, one way is BS, and one way is not BS. I just think that the type of relationship that you build is different in each strategy, and one of them is faster, and the relationships are more shallow, but they can be built over time, right? A lot of the time, those people are building that relationship on the back end. I've been a part of sales funnels like that before, where I saw, a crazy offer. I'll give a specific example. I saw a crazy offer for a training for video professionals on how to run your business, how to all the right equipment, all the things that you need to start a video business. $50 one time payment. It also came with like contract templates, just like a ton of value, more value than you would ever imagine for $50. Right? That is clearly a direct response. Like, here's your call to action. Only $50 gets you access to all this stuff and this exclusive community for video creators where you get to talk to everybody and learn from them and post your work for feedback. And I was like, yeah, obviously I'm going to buy that. That is made for me at that point in my business journey. That was like exactly what I needed. And it's been super helpful ever since. I love the community. And what the community does and what their email marketing does after they hook me in with that direct response mechanism and that call to action is that relationship and trust building that you're talking about doing on the front end, right? So like they're still not putting a call to action in everything, but the call to action was the first step, right? So I don't think even in that example, as I'm talking about it, they don't have call to actions in everything, but I think it's a difference of speed of acquiring clients, right? If you do the method that has call to actions and everything and you pay for it, you can get clients immediately. And if you go the other way, again, just to rehash, the relationships are going to be deeper, but it does take longer. So does that
Yeah.
kind of answer your
So
question?
yeah, I'm going to respond to all of that. I have thoughts
Okay.
on all of it. I
All right.
agree with you. I agree with you that there's definitely a direct response. There are definitely direct response funnels that work amazing. Obviously. And when I talk about the gurus are kind of like ignoring the organic, it's because it's not trackable. It's not trackable the way that paid ads are.
Yep.
How do you track I'm building a relationship? How do you track the person that's reading these posts is absolutely falling in love with me, right? You can't track that. There's not really a mechanism. But
Yep.
you can track I paid X amount for this lead. This lead converted, at this amount, and then we profited X amount. So definitely direct response marketing is numbers, right? You have to know your numbers, and if you know your numbers and you get everything right, that's great. The other thing about direct, so you have to have the money. You have to have enough, be able to spend enough money to get familiar with your numbers because you've got to test it. But you've also got to be a pretty darn good copywriter,
Yep.
right? So you have to come correct with your offers. You have to really hit all of those points exactly. And it's got to make you feel like I need to have this.
Yep.
I just spent $77 on an offer yesterday, or $74, whatever it was, for writing better emails.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm always looking for ways to write better emails, better ways to tell stories within emails. And this guy's, it was like 19 lessons. It was like a 19-day challenge, but it's like just 19 separate lessons plus templates and subject lines and all of that. So that was like a juicy piece of bait for
Yep.
me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, oh, I can really, and it was exactly what I was looking for. Even the name of it was like one email a day, like
Mm-hmm.
a one email a day business. And I'm like, that's what I want, right? So
Yep.
it talked directly to me. The what I'm talking about is the organic side of it.
Yep.
So there's the paid side, which you're right, you can scale really, really quickly, but you can also lose a lot of money very, very quickly doing that. And for
Yep.
most people who are not familiar with running ads, like if you're not an expert marketer, that's a really difficult thing to pull
That's
off.
a big ask. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And you see a lot of people take these programs, they take these coaching groups and all of that. They'll spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to learn how to do this, and they still don't get it.
Yep.
They
Still
still
doesn't
just,
quite click. Yeah.
yeah, because like you've got to be a good cut. You have to be smart on marketing, copywriting, ads. You've
Yep.
got to have it all.
Yeah. There's a
Follow
lot.
up, the
Yeah.
sales call, all of it.
So many
So
skills there that you have to know in order for that to be successful, for sure.
So yeah, I totally agree with that. I think what I'm really pushing back against is there are social media coaches out there that say you should always have a call to action on your organic posts.
Yeah.
And there are other marketing gurus out there that say organic social media is worthless,
Yep.
right? Because they don't know how to use it to build relationships.
Yep.
And then the other coaches that are saying always have a call to action on there are forgetting the relationship building side of it. They're trying to build a relationship with a call to action at the bottom, but because they're doing it so much, they're not really building the relationship over time that I think is really, really powerful. Like
Yeah.
by the time somebody buys from me, I want them completely like enamored with me. I want them saying like, this is the person. This is the person I like. I like what she has said. She's proven herself. And what I also like about it is you might not get the people that are immediately looking now. And this kind of talks a little bit to what we were talking about the leads, right? Some people are ready to buy a program right now. Well, they can find my link. They can definitely look at my program right now.
Yep.
But I know that for most of my people, they've never even thought about buying a program right now.
Yep.
So they need educated on it. They need nurtured, and it's going to take time, and it takes that organic that is going to work. And the other reason why I say this, it's not just social media, but I've also been noticing, like I mentioned with you with the ads that, running, what do you call those with the ads where it's just the relationship? What are those called?
Brand
The
awareness.
brand awareness ads, um, where you're teaching something or you're showing something behind the scenes or you're helping them out or you're showing them the top 3 secrets to X.
Yep.
And that is allowing, even the fact that people are willing to put money behind that shows that less direct approach, not necessarily telling them to do something at the end, but instead using the ads to speed up the relationship and discovery part of things,
Mm-hmm.
is working
Yeah.
because even the bigger marketers are doing that. And then I look at Dean Jackson and what he does with his emails and the super signature and even the 9-word email, like, are you still looking for X? Yes, you're acting for a direct response, but not in the same way where people think, well, if I send an email, I need to make the offer for my thing.
Yep.
Instead of taking the time to just start a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know that this is a new thing, but what I'm seeing is that the consumers are hit over the head with buy from me, buy from me, buy from me, and even get this free this and that free that,
Yep.
right? That I think a lot of people are exhausted by it and we're not fooled by it anymore. In fact, when I bought that email thing, somebody said in the comments, just tell me now what the upsells are. Like they already know they're going to be upsold. It's not a secret anymore,
Yep.
right? It's not a like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody offer me something on the back. Like we all know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a fatigue to that and we don't know who to listen to. Everybody's trying to get our money.
Yep.
And to have some people that are backing off, and that's where I like to lean out instead of lean in, where I'm attracting to me. And even the mini group that I do, they're in my world for 8, 9 days before I ever make them an offer. I do straight relationship building. I do call to actions just for that 8 to 9 of like commenting below, right? But I'm taking the time to build that relationship before I ever ask them to do anything on the back end of it. And so what I'm calling bullshit on is this idea that everything always needs to be a call to action or that social media doesn't work, because what they'll do is they'll do call to actions in their posts with a link. And when it doesn't work, they're like, see,
like,
I'm
social media
posting.
doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm posting my link to social media all the time and I'm not getting more calls, etc. Therefore, organic doesn't work. And that's because you're approaching it with I want you to take action now
Yep.
before you've built the the right to ask them.
Yeah, I would agree. I
Direct call to
agree with
action.
you 100%. I think that's the hard part about some of these episodes that we're going to do is like I'm on board with pretty much everything that you say. I'm trying to like make that
Disagree with me, Duncan.
controversy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So no, I'm 100% on board, and I like you said, I use this in even my ad campaigns. It's like I don't really go straight to direct response either. I much prefer to put some money behind that relationship building, giving more than you're asking for anything because people respond to that better, right? It's like they don't want to be sold to. So if you can give them something of value without asking for anything in return, it's the best way, in my opinion, to start a business relationship, right? So, like, I even, just to give an example of how to do this in person, like, I've before even been on set filming something for somebody. There's been another business in the same location, and I go over, like, hey, you have a really awesome business. My name's Duncan. I'm here filming for XYZ company, and I love your shop. Do you mind if I just film some clips for you while I'm here, and I'll send them to you free of charge? I'm here already. It'll take 10 minutes. They're like, oh, wow, really? That's incredible. And it starts the relationship out in the right frame. It's like they see me as this really awesome guy who's there doing the thing that my business does. I get to send them something that shows how good I am at it. And to me, to them, I'm just like this awesome, really nice guy who did a nice thing for them. So whenever they're going to look for somebody for video, why would they go to anybody else? It's like they're going to go to the guy who sent them the free thing and was so cool about it. It's the same thing. I think it's the same. You're just trying to replicate that feeling, that kind of relationship online, however you can, and you can pay for ads to do that, and or you can do it organically. And I wouldn't ask for anything. So I'm 100% on board. Not everything needs a call to action, and the people that say that it does don't understand marketing. They don't understand relationship building. They don't understand
Right.
the base principle, like psychology of marketing that really makes it all work. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I've totally bought into that in the past. Like if there's not a direct call to action, it's not marketing,
Yeah,
right? I'm not marketing. It's not, if it's not trackable, if there's not a direct call to action, I should never send an email that's not a direct call to action. And then the more I'm learning with social media and the more I'm backing off of that and just creating content, and you realize there's all of this important stuff that you can't track,
yep,
all of this important stuff of people have been following, will tell me I've been following you for years and now I'm ready to sign up. It took them years to get to. It's not that they didn't get any offers in that time, they did, but I would make an offer and then we're back to relationship building.
yeah,
And so there, and I wasn't asking them to comment on everything. Sometimes I'm just saying something like, hey, today I took a screenshot of a repost that I did in Threads about this is a good example, not DMing somebody just because you saw them and asking them to buy your product.
yep,
Like if and I say this to my clients all the time, if somebody says as a comment of your product like it's beautiful, that's not an invitation for them to want to buy. And some people are DMing them and saying, "Oh, you want to buy it? Here's the link. Go buy it. Go buy it. Go buy it."
yep,
Right? And so I kind of reposted somebody else saying that, and I said, you know, you do not DM people unless there's a clear intent that they want to buy. They're saying, I want this, I want to buy this. So that was my post. There was no comment below with what you think. There was no click this link to learn how to do better. And again, it's not that I never say those things, but the part that it's all part of a mix. And again, I look at things like, you know, we jokingly, mostly jokingly, say things like clients suck, you know, and I got that from Gary Halbert.
yep,
Gary Halbert used to go to these conferences, and this was one of the first stories I ever heard about Gary Halbert is he went to like this Orlando conference and he showed up in like a midriff like football jersey thing, and a hat that said clients suck. It either said it on the hat or on the shirt. Clients suck. He stood at the front of the room and he said, do not stop me in the hallways. Do not talk to me in the bathrooms. If you see me off this stage, don't talk to me. I'm not taking clients. I don't want any new clients. I like clients suck. That is not what I'm here for. I'm here to simply teach you. And of course, what happened as soon as he got off the stage?
Oh man, flooded, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, he did not need to sell those people.
Yep.
And he was like, in the bathroom, they're on him. Coming out of the bathroom, in the hallway, they're on him. Yeah, and you know what they did? They sold themselves to him.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is really, really powerful. And that's where the direct response stuff, I feel like it's getting it backwards. I'm
Yep.
selling you instead of you selling yourself to me, right?
Yep. Yep.
And or I interrupted your feed with an ad. And again, I'm not saying it doesn't work, because it does. I just like the opposite approach. Not that I ran an ad, but somebody discovered me. Now it's their idea, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they're like, I think this is the right person. I think this is the right thing. I'm going to go find more videos of them. Now they're putting in the work to find out more about what I'm saying. And then they're asking questions and I'm answering it. And they're like, okay, this is really, really cool. Now, full disclosure, it's more time intensive. It is more time intensive to build relationships, but it's so much more solid. Like you were saying, the lifetime value of that person, they're going to stick around because
Yep.
they've put that much more thought in, and they believe, and it is true, it's their idea.
Yep.
They're selling themselves on it. I don't have to sell them on it. And I'll
Yeah.
tell them, hey, if this isn't for you, it's not for you. That's okay.
Yep.
This is for these people. And if you're that person, great. If not,
Perfect.
that's fine too. Oh, can I sign up later? Absolutely. You can sign up anytime you want to. Marketers will tell you not to do that. But I've gotten more respect from that since I stopped putting those arbitrary timelines on. You can only sign up during this period of time. And I'm like, when you are ready to take this action for yourself, you know where to find me. And I
Yep.
back off. And they're like, no, 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 no. Like they're leaning in, like, no, 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 no. Like, I swear, next week I'm signing up. I'm like, that's cool. Like, you don't have to tell me. Like, that's up to you to decide when
Whenever you're
you're
ready.
ready.
Yeah. I love that. I
And
think
so I was
too
thinking
that
about that, and just real quick to the
you're
Gary
good, yeah.
Vaynerchuk, same thing. Everybody knows who Gary is. He doesn't have a program. He only works with really like high-end brands, but everybody wants a piece of him. People are chasing him down. Everybody's like, and it's Alex Hermosi probably now more than it is Gary Vaynerchuk now, but both of them are really good examples of they don't really have anything to sell.
Yep.
You know, Alex Hermosi's only investing in businesses at this point in time. And yet people are knocking down their doors saying, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me?
Mm.
I think that's what the direct response marketers often are missing, is that piece of it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think the only point that I wanted to make on that is an example from a recent marketing experience that I've had helping another business grow their initial client list. And it's not a local business, but I think that there's a lot of power in the example. So in the process of relationship building, you learn what those clients actually want. Oftentimes you don't really even know, right? And how can you go as a business owner right to the direct response if you don't even know what makes that client tick? Like if you can't say something to them that makes them take action, then you're not ready yet. You have to get to know them. You have to learn who they are, what they want, what keeps them up at night before you can create something compelling enough for them to take that direct response action that you built into your ad. And then, so the example is with Benjamin, that software company, right? So I think the thing that he really got right about his offer, and the reason that he got it so right, is because it's a problem that he himself has dealt with, and he understands. And we're presenting that offer to other businesses that are his exact business, right? So I don't know. So it's like you can almost, I'm not saying skip the relationship building. It has
Mm-hmm.
to be built somewhere. The understanding has to come from somewhere. And it can be if you're in a B2B industry and you're offering services to other companies like yours, or, if you yourself have dealt with the problem that your business solves, there's an opportunity there to go directly to some sort of direct response mechanism because you have that understanding, but it's never going to be as powerful as if you built the relationship with your potential customers and understood that problem even more, right? You need to understand it from other people's perspectives as well. And that's what we're seeing in that business. Like, we landed on a really great offer because Benjamin understands that industry, and he created a solution for a problem that he was dealing with. But now that we actually have some customers and we're figuring out even more problems that they're dealing with, the product is getting better. The messaging is getting even better. So the nothing can replace that relationship building for sure.
Yes. And I would say even in that case, they're not all Benjamin, right?
Yeah.
He
Mm-hmm.
approaches things a very specific way and they're approaching it different ways. And if you don't take the time to actually get to know who it is you're selling to, and what their problems are, not what you think their problems are. So I think that is, again, a huge thing. And I've talked about this before, that when I first started with coaching for social media, I created a Facebook group, put people in the Facebook group, and I had zero things to sell. I just went live in there. I answered questions. I listened to what they said that they were struggling with. And I noticed the holes, right? Like, all of these holes were popping up, like, oh, they don't know how to do this. They don't know how to do that. So that's what I'm going to teach them how to do. And so I actually created my program out of what they were obviously struggling with, and that I knew they were struggling with because we were talking and we were having that conversation. And it's funny, even here locally, I joined, the networking group that I joined last year. I went in there and I had nothing to sell them. I was like, hey, I'm Allie Thompson and I help people with social media, and I'll do a free Facebook page review if you'd like one. Like, I had no package. I had nothing to sell them because it was a completely different market. And I know one of the people that was in that group that did join the Marketing Power Hour, he said, when you sent me the message saying Marketing Power Hour was open, that's the first time you ever tried to sell me something. He said, it took you a year to sell me something. And I told him, I said, it could have been faster than that, right? But I was really doing just market research over the year. I was intentionally going very slow.
Yep.
But by the time we opened up Marketing Power Hour, the relationship was set.
Yep.
And we were able to fill those first 10 slots of that very, very quickly,
Yep.
because the relationship was always there. So now we know we need to continue to build those relationships in order to fill additional slots.
Yep.
But, that was all the work that was done way ahead of time, that I don't think if I was going at them with a direct response offer, we'd have, it'd be a lot more expensive per person to put
Yep.
them into that program,
Yep.
because we're going in cold.
Yeah, and there's an interesting thing there too about, we haven't really even talked about this yet. We've talked about it briefly. Like, there's the opportunity there to go direct response first and then bring them into our relationship building tool. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not that I don't know, there are ways to play with that and flip the script depending on what the situation is, right? So we've talked about running ads to generate people for the group, and then that's where you build the relationship. So
Yep.
I agree that not everything has to have a direct response mechanism, but the power of it, once you understand the pain points and the problems of your customers, can't be understated. The power of that direct response mechanism.
But I'm going to add, something
man.
like that can get a monkey wrench thrown in it very easily
Are
when
we
Facebook.
fighting, Allie? Is this our
Yes,
first
we're
fight?
fighting. This is our first fight, because listen, I have been in the position where I have a direct response mechanism in place and it's working and it's just rolling down the tracks. And then all of a sudden Facebook's like, hey, we're not going to report your ads correctly, or we're shutting down your ad account,
Yep.
or whatever it is, right? So when you don't build the relationship and the direct response mechanism that you put in place, the funnel you put in place, it breaks somewhere. COVID hits, right? And all of a sudden priorities are completely different. I had a lot of my leads were coming from my vendor success secrets group. COVID hits, almost none for 2 years.
Yep.
For 2 years, that lead source was turned off. It's back on now, but for almost 2 years, it was off. So when you are reliant on a mechanism and that mechanism breaks, you're going from in business to almost out of business immediately. And
Yep.
I can show you on my Stripe dashboard when I was doing more, it was still with mini groups, but it was less relationship building, more just get them in, turn them, move on, get them in, turn them, move on. And you can see a month where I did $28,000 in sales, and 2 months later, I did $3,000 in sales.
Wow.
Like it can take you from here to here really, really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you build a relationship, even if you lost your Facebook, let's say you lost your Facebook page. So you start a brand new one, you start a brand new Facebook page, and you run ads. Now I've already got their emails, so I can do a lookalike. I can get them right back onto the Facebook page.
Yep.
First, I can send them an email. Come check out my Facebook page, follow the Facebook page. I can then do ads directly to people that are on my email list, inviting them back to my page. I can build up that following again really, really quickly because they're like, oh, there's Allie. Where'd she go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I can tell them, hey, I lost my Facebook page, but I just got it back. Let everybody you know. And we have the community to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Where if you don't have that and that stuff gets turned off,
Yeah,
you're
you're out of
starting
luck.
from zero and you're trying to build right back up again. And so it's sturdier, right? And I'll always have my email list. That's why it's important to have an email list, because you never know with your social media what's going to happen.
Yep.
But I can always email them through the email list and say, hey, this thing happened or that thing happened. And I only have one way for people to join my email list, and that's with one particular free report that I have. And I'm even just really strategic of when I even offer that. And I offer it in a big way and a bunch of people sign up, and then we don't talk about it. Then I just build relationships, and then I offer it again. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, I want that report. And then I go back to building relationships.
Yeah.
So they don't feel like I'm treating them like a number, and therefore they trust me more. We have much more know, like, and trust.
Yeah. Yep. Love
So
that.
again, it's not either or, but in my opinion, in Allie's opinion, if I had to choose between the two, I'll take the slow and steady relationship building side every day of the week over direct offer. Because it's just like we were talking about with the leads. You have that whole period of time of, 100 people are interested, 50 of them are going to buy something, only 5% or only 5 of them are going to buy within 90 days.
Yep.
When you take a relationship building approach, you're getting the ones that are ready to buy now. You're getting the ones that are ready to buy in a month, 3 months, 6 months, 18 months, 2 years or longer. I just had 2 people sign up for my main program that have purchased from me before, but they were some of the very first people I talked to.
Yeah.
They were in the very, very, very beginning. And they came back and they're like, oh yeah, Allie, we kind of like lost track of things and got off track, and we're back in it again.
Yeah.
I didn't have to sell them on anything.
Yeah. I
They,
think that
they
maybe
just know me.
my proclivity toward the direct response offer thing is because I haven't gone through that phase of my marketing career yet. Like I'm still newer at it than you. I'm earlier on in my marketing journey. And that dopamine hit of like, oh man, we made a really look at all these people that are like, yes, send me this thing. I need this lead magnet. I need this whatever. It's like I'm hooked on that. Like when I saw that post that Benjamin made in the group and saw how well it worked, I was like, yes, we need to, here's 5 different ways we could write this same post and post it in every other group for groomers, dog groomers on the planet. Cause like, I love that psychology of presenting somebody with a thing that solves all their problems and getting them to take action is really addictive. So
I'm totally in favor of posts like that. I think I'm not saying not to do that stuff.
No,
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely do that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just like, I'm like a direct response first guy. I'm not really with any, not really for any reason other than my addicted personality. That's probably it.
And the relationship building it's slower, right? It is the little engine that could, or whatever, the ant and the grasshopper, or the tortoise and the hare, however we want to call it.
Sure.
Tortoise and the hare, they're both getting to the finish line, but one is doing it slow and steady and the other one's going real fast, but there are dangers in going really fast.
Yep.
And I feel like the risk of doing it slower, I think it's easier to learn. You were saying that it's a specific set of skills, and I think that it's a set of skills that direct response marketers have a harder time with
Yep.
because they don't understand how to do that. I think it's also a difficult set of skills for business owners. It's not that it's difficult. It's really just a mindset set shift.
Yep.
It's not that hard. You just have to stop thinking about everything as direct response. Here's my number. Call me, call
Yep.
me, call me, call me, call me. You need something? Call me, call me, call me, call me. Right? All of that stuff is landing flat. So it takes a perspective shift. But if you get that perspective shift, I think it's easier.
Yep.
I think it's easier. I think that for most business owners, it's going to help them grow slow and steady so they don't get overwhelmed and get more leads and more inquiries than what they can potentially handle.
Yep.
Right? Because there's danger in growing too fast. So you do grow slower and you build up, we talk about small town famous. You get small town famous with good organic. And small town famous is just everybody knows who you are, and you can take good organic and you can turn it into paid.
Yep.
But if you can get people to just react to a picture of you and your family and the story of why you got started,
Yep.
that can get you more sales than running an ad.
Yep.
That says buy from me when you're ready to buy, which obviously, we know that that's not the right way to run an ad in the first place. But
No,
and
I
that's
know
the other thing.
exactly
Once you
what
find
you're saying.
something that works organically, then you can, and it may not have a call to action. This is why we came. This is why we moved here. This is why we opened our business. Everybody loves that story. They're like, oh my gosh, can I get your number? Can you do a quote for me? There's no call to action at all. You can put money behind that thing and still get a good response. And, I've told this story before of one of my clients that sold jams, and she just had a simple A, B, C, or D. Which one of these 4 jams do you like the most? And
Yep.
she sold a crap ton of jams. And she put money behind it and she sold even more jams. And she's like, Allie, when should I stop putting money behind it? I'm like, when it stops making sales.
Yep.
And it was not buy from me, but she made a lot of sales from that.
Absolutely.
So that's where I'm going. Again, I'm not saying direct. I mean, I do direct response marketing as well. I track how many sales I got from the emails that I sent out. I'm tracking when I do a mini group. While there's a lot of relationship building there, ultimately it's a sales funnel. And I know how much money I spent to put people in there, how many bought during that period of time, how many leads did I get total. And then I'm just nurturing those leads afterwards over and over and over and over again. And so, I do that. I want to push against this. Everything has to be direct response, or there's not a place for organic, or organic doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
those are all BS for sure.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I'm on board 100% with you, and like I think that what a lot of those statements really do for us is it just identifies those people that really, I don't know, that really don't actually understand marketing. They might understand sales and how to sell, how to try and convince somebody that their solution is the right solution, but they don't really understand marketing, because if they did, they would know that any of these platforms, any of these strategies can work if you do them correctly with the right foundational principles. And to me, it's nice because they point themselves out to us, to me. It's like, oh, I see what you're doing there. But business owners have to be careful because they are doing that to try and convince you that their solution is right and everyone else's solution is wrong. It's a very
Right.
classic sales tactic, right? They're leaning into the cognitive bias of it's like the preference one, right? Like you're more likely to believe in something that it's confirmation bias. That's the one. You're more likely to believe in something that confirms what you already thought. So if
Mhm.
you're posting on social media and it's not working, and this person comes on your reels, on your Facebook feed and is like, yeah, organic social media doesn't work because XYZ, you're like, obviously this person's a genius because they're
Right.
confirming what I
That's
already
exactly what
know.
I thought was happening.
Yeah,
I knew
yeah.
something had to be wrong with Facebook, not
Yes.
something wrong with the way that I'm posting to
Correct.
Facebook.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
just did that in the marketing power hour. We did optimizing the hook, and I talked about all these different biases and how they could be used for evil, right? It's like that's incorrect. That is false information that is designed to try and convince you that their solution is the right one. They probably even know that that's what they're doing, right? Like they know how to be manipulative with the kinds of things that they put out. They know how to stir up controversy and in order to get you to buy their course or their services or their whatever. So you guys have to be really careful. Anybody listening to this has to be really careful to anybody claiming that they have the golden ticket. Like they
Right.
know exactly the right way to do it. Everybody else is BS. It's like that's like instant red flag. So
Right. And that's again why I like doing this as an education piece, because I feel like we're calling BS on a lot of people tonight during this conversation.
everybody
But
else
it's
is BS except for
everybody
us.
else's BS. But no, it's like recognizing who is BS and who is not. And like, I love Facebook. I think Facebook is the platform that is best for small business owners.
Yeah.
And some people push back and say, I get more clients from Instagram. I'm like, cool. If Instagram's working well for you, I'm trying to find a way to teach people how to use social media that is the most likely to succeed
Yep.
for where they're at. And most people are more familiar with Facebook than they are Instagram. But if
Yep.
you're on Instagram, great, do Instagram. But there's a difference between, and we have a mutual friend who said they were talking to a marketing coach, expert, consultant, business consultant. We'll call
Yep.
it a business consultant. And she asked them something about Facebook. And he's like, Facebook is useless. When was the last time you got a lead on Facebook?
Mm.
She's like, I get sales on Facebook like a lot,
Yeah.
but that was
Yeah.
his bias. And here's the thing, like here's the difference. He doesn't know how to use Facebook. Therefore, he just says that it doesn't work.
Yep.
I'll say a local business probably shouldn't be on TikTok, not because, oh, I just don't understand TikTok, but because I understand TikTok. It goes worldwide. If you also have to be skilled in video making. Like there's so many checks that you have to check, and most people don't have those skills, and most people don't have the market that's right for that.
Yep.
So there's a difference there. Like I'm not saying TikTok sucks and Facebook is the jam. It's just TikTok is fantastic for certain things.
Yep.
And bad for other things. And Facebook is fantastic for these things, but not like Facebook for B2B. I don't love, if you're going to do Facebook for B2B, go to LinkedIn.
Yep.
And I've told people that before, like, hey, I don't think you need Facebook. I think you need LinkedIn for specifically what you're doing.
Yep.
And that's the difference. And that's what you need to be listening for, is not these blanket statements of X doesn't work. We know emails work. We know Facebook works. We know TikTok works. We know they all work. You just have to, they work for different businesses differently. They work for different audiences differently. They each have their own approach you have to take to them.
Yeah.
So understanding that there's nuance to all of that. And that's where I'm saying, like, I'm calling BS on call to action with the qualifier of, yes, direct response marketing works. It's just that these blanket statements of everything has to be direct response, or organic doesn't work and only paid ads do with a direct response call to action, that's BS. There are other ways to do it. You just have to know how to approach it.
Yeah, nothing is that black and white. Anybody that tells
It's
you
all
that
gray.
yes,
Everything is gray.
anybody that tries to convince you that it's black and white is trying to sell you something. That's like case in point. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Life is pain. Anybody telling you otherwise is trying to sell you something.
Only two guarantees in life are death and taxes. Yep.
That's exactly right. All right. I think we can wrap up this episode. I don't know if we're going to do a second episode, but I think we covered a lot of ground in this particular episode. And
I like this format a lot. I like being able to just kind of riff on things, and it allows me, I don't know how you feel about it, but it lets me dig into topics that I think about all the time and just like get a little bit deeper in them. Like I explain these concepts to potential clients a lot, but it's the exercise of explaining out of explaining it to them from their level of understanding as opposed to
Right.
mine. And like getting to talk to you about it as another marketer, it helps a lot to flesh the ideas out and helps me understand them even better. So yeah, it was
Yes.
fun.
Yes, and I need you to push back harder against my ideas and disagree with me more.
But the problem is, I have drunk the Allie Kool-Aid. I am Allie knows best. I am on board with the Allie program. So I'll for our next one, I'm going to make it my goal to just argue against you the entire time. That'll be the plan next time.
But see, that's the beauty of it, because I back off and I'm telling you to disagree with me.
Mhm.
You're agreeing with me even more when I tell you to disagree with me. See, this is how this works.
Yeah.
I back off, you lean in.
It's like,
Guys,
no, please let me agree with you,
yeah,
please.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Marketing in action right here on the podcast.
Hashtag marketing genius.
Hashtag marketing genius. I got my mug.
Mm.
My dirty mug. All right, awesome. So if anybody is listening to this and wants to hear more from Duncan and I, definitely follow the podcast. Either like and subscribe on YouTube or follow on whichever platform that you're listening to the podcast on. And absolutely join us in our Facebook group, Marketing Ping Pong, where we make nearly daily posts about different marketing pieces that we see and how we would improve them, or ones that are really good. We also answer questions there in the group to help people. You know, they say, hey, I want to make this post to my Facebook page. Does this look right? Am I hitting the right tone? I love stuff like that. I love questions. Like, I want to be challenged 24/7. I just, that's the most fun for me. So join the Marketing Ping Pong Facebook group. There is a page and there's a group. You can definitely follow the page, but the page is not really active. The group is what is active. You'll see a little ping pong paddle next to the name. So go check us out there. And any last words, Duncan?
Any last words? I am unprepared every time you ask me that question. I'm not sure why. I forget that you ask me every time, but I get so nervous. As soon as you ask, I'm like, maybe make sure you eat your fruits and vegetables and pack an extra pair of underwear on every trip. Is that good?
Got it. Perfect.
Okay,
That was
cool.
that was good life advice. Thank you very much. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.